Alright guys, it's been a little while since we've done a general message and I feel like it's time. It's about that time. Let's go ahead and start a timer. I don't think we really need it, but it doesn't hurt, I guess. The other day on here, I posted in my community tab a song by Metallica called The Unforgiven. Now there's three, it's like a trilogy. There's three different Unforgivens. There's Unforgiven, The Unforgiven 2, and The Unforgiven 3. And they are brilliantly executed and brilliantly written. And they tell three different stories. I want to focus on the first one today. I believe James Hetfield said it was one of his most personal songs. It was actually about his childhood. I'm pretty sure, if I researched that correctly, that he said it was his own personal life. This was about forced conformity. This was about the way that he grew up. He had kind of a rough life. But going back a little bit, something I really respect about the band Metallica is that they're both very harsh and heavy, but also there's this vulnerability to them, and especially James Hetfield, which I think we can relate to. You know, we can all have this side of us that has to put on this face for our family, society, the world, whatever, and we have to be strong, and even for our own children and things like that. And then there's this side of us where we've been through our own pains and our own sorrows and our own grievances. We have our own stories in different parts of our life and different cycles. And so I find them to be really relatable. And so anyway, this Unforgiven song, I wanted to read like a little quote from Beyond the Beat, where they said the song is basically about feeling deprived of all of our own thoughts to follow the rules of religion impressed upon us at an early age, and our vow to maintain our own free will, yet being unable to. Have you guys ever felt like that? Have you ever felt, whether in your own family or maybe you know someone like this, we'll use family as an example, where they believe something so heavily and forced it on you, and maybe they thought they were doing the right thing, maybe they, but it was like, this is my belief and this is the only belief and this is the only way, and your way is wrong, and you're not even allowed to have your own way, you're not even allowed to have your own thoughts. And because I believe this way and this is my rules and my mindset, this is the only way that things will go, and therefore you had to suffer because of it. I'm pretty sure something about James Hetfield's life, it said something along the lines of, I think until he was, don't hold me on this, but I believe he was like a teenager, maybe not even a teenager, I think he was like 11, 12. His father up and left the family, but before that he was raised in a very strict religious environment where they didn't believe in they believed only like prayer could heal everything and things like that. Now this is not to knock anyone who does believe in that. I actually know a lot of people who believe like that, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm just telling you his story per my research. And going along with the song Unforgiven, his mother, I believe he was, or maybe his father left younger, either way, his father left at one point, and his mother ended up getting cancer at some point, and instead of receiving medical treatment, she said she was going to just pray about it and whatever, and she ended up dying, and so therefore he was left without a father and a mother, and was very bitter because of this. And along history you'll see stories like this, and maybe you have lived it yourself, but Friedrich Nietzsche, he had a family that was very religious as well and felt very misunderstood, couldn't be himself, felt as if he had no free will. And although he had his mind, just like James Hetfield, just like us, just like all of us, but that, we have this like fear, almost like of abandonment if we do go our own way. And then not only that, those we love, they choose we'll say this, they make their choices based off of their strong beliefs in their religion and whatever. It doesn't even have to be a religion, but we'll use that here. And therefore others end up suffering due to their beliefs, or others end up having to pretend because they want to be accepted, because this way is the only way. And that's kind of what I gathered from the song, and that hit me really hard here, where sometimes that can make us rather bitter in life, because it feels like we've almost been set back. Like we can get to a place where we feel like we were doomed from the start, and we almost have to like be willing to be the scapegoat. We have to be willing to be the black sheep to even find ourselves, to even discover who we are, without others telling us who we are and kind of living vicariously through us in a way. And it's basically a song about the anger that eventually arises from the depths of years of suppression for essentially the abuse one has endured, and might I add, neglect. You get pissed off, you get angry, and then this affects your romantic relationships, this affects your purpose here, it affects everything. And it can create a really bitter person, as he states in the song, this man is me. He literally says, this old man is me. It can make a bitter man, it can make a bitter woman, it can make a bitter person. And it's totally relatable. I just wonder, have any of you felt like this? Have you ever felt like you suffered due to the beliefs of others, and went without due to the beliefs of others, had to pretend due to the beliefs of others, and the fear of abandonment? Have you ever been neglected due to the beliefs of others? Do you relate to the song The Unforgiven? And that's just that one. I haven't even covered the second one or the third one, which I think is important too, so we should probably get into that. The second one is more about love, romantic love, and finding a person that, well, I've read two different interpretations of it, but watching the videos are very important to me, to put them together with the song. I feel they link together. So I have my view of what I really think it is, but I've heard a different interpretation of the second version, and then the third version is more about forgiving ourselves. We are the unforgiven, so it's really brilliant, actually. And yeah, I don't know, some of you may be at a place in your life where you're older now, and deep down, I don't know if you're even aware of this, if we're aware of this, maybe you are, there's this bitterness, there's this anger, even if there's love on top of it, for those who were kind of in authority as you were growing up, due to what I stated a minute ago. You may feel like it didn't really help you any, and maybe that you were never really actually fully accepted or loved. I mean, because you might think, well, how could they if they didn't or weren't willing to see who I even really was? It was more who they wanted me to be, because that's the me they accepted. It can make you feel like you were given an unfair chance, you were given a disadvantage from an early age. I mean, the first lyrics of the song of The Unforgiven, new blood joins this earth. I mean, from the moment you came through this existence, you might have experienced some pretty unfortunate things. Now, we all know that somewhere, someone on this planet has it 10 times worse than we do. But that's not to say that, you don't have the right to have your own feelings about what you experienced. You know what I mean? The Unforgiven. So, let's look up just a little bit of the lyrics here of the first Unforgiven. I think it's brilliant how he says, so I dub thee unforgiven. It's like dubbing a knight. This is basically saying, so I don't forgive you. Now, some of us can come from the place of I like legit don't forgive you. There's no forgiving you for all of the years of this. It's like abuse. Or I don't forgive you. I love you, but I just don't forgive you. It's very selfish. You know, your life and your beliefs and your religion and whatever, that's you. And I'm me. But then they would say things like, well, we're responsible for your soul, or we have to, you know, but it's still they're going off their belief. Okay, this is what he's saying. What I've felt and what I've known never shined through what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been. Like, we can't get back all that time. What a waste. What a waste of time we could have gotten to really know each other, could have really loved one another. What a waste of time you could have really gotten to know me as a person. What a waste of time I could have done other things and been at a different place in my life right now, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, been at different places in my life right now had I not been forced when I had no choice to surrender my free will, basically. Never shine through what I've shown, never free, never me, so I dubbed thee unforgiven. They dictate their lives to running all of his. See what I'm saying? He tries to please them all, this bitter man he is. Of course. Of course, this would be like someone who has to hide their own individuality because it's not going to be accepted by those that should really love and accept them. This person can't be authentic. They have to learn later in life how to become authentic. And they're basically saying, I'm being held accountable for something that I really was given no choice at a young age to. And it's like I had to start backwards. I had to grow backwards. Throughout his life the same, he's battled constantly. This fight he cannot win. A tired man they see no longer cares. And then you get to an age where you're like, I don't even give a fuck anymore. Like, I don't give a fuck. What am I going to do? Lose? I've been losing since I came into this existence. What do you mean? And I'm going to lose until I'm gone. I mean, it's, you can be seen as cynical and negative, but it's like, what do you expect? Inner child. You know, we talk about inner child. It's like inner child. The inner child never even got to know who the inner child was because the inner child was constantly having to pretend in order to not be abandoned or shunned or excommunicated or estranged, and even ultimately ended up that way anyway. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is for someone here. This is someone who's like, and then eventually they get to a place where they like, you know how you see a runner and they're running and then they break through, like they make the first place, right? And they break through the ribbon. That's what I see here. Someone's like reclaiming their life, but it just happens later in life. And the only way they're able to do that is by basically not caring, not giving a fuck. And then people wonder why they're cold or bitter or mean, or they don't make intimate connections with people, or why it's because they don't want to be fake. They've had to do that. They were forced to at a young age to be something that they weren't. They were forced to hide their sexuality. They were forced to hide their own beliefs and wants. They were forced to choose this path because this path would have been sinful, or this path would have been unaccepted. You know, maybe I can't be a dancer because, you know, I'm just getting this. I'm not saying this is what anyone believes, but it's just popping in my head because this is not what a Christian believes or what this religion believes. So I can't do this because it's suggestive or sexual, but so now I should just be a doctor. But I am not a doctor. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then you grow up and you fucking hate people. Yeah. Basically, at the very end, he also says, you labeled me, I'll label you. And then, like, the moment that you do start to kind of see what's really going on, whether it was intentional or not, or it was their own programming, right? Because you eventually get to a place to where you see that they were just programmed as well. But it's only after your own experience in life. And then, but there's always this bitterness because it's like, God, I just feel like I started so late. I was terrified to be my own individual person, as any child would be, for fear of abandonment or abandonment again or whatever, you know. But still, you label me, I'll label you. You know what I mean? Now, this doesn't have to just be religion. I'm just going off of specifically James Hetfield's life, that's what he endured. But this could be other things too. It's like a cult type. Somebody grew up in a cult, even if it wasn't religion. They grew up with people who were very programmed in their own believing in their own ways, and so therefore it's created this individual that is just now, as they age, coming to terms and getting to know their innermost self and who they are. It's like they're pulling their own inner child out of a closet, like, come on, buddy, come here. It's okay, come here. And it's like, no, it's not okay. And this child thinks it has to perform like a clown, you know? Like dance and shapeshift and stuff, but it's like, you don't have to do any of that for me. Who are you really? And the child is like, because the child doesn't know. Yeah. That's the message. We should cover the second one and the third one. Let me know. Let me know if you guys want me to cover the second and third one, just like my take on it and how I feel. But I think someone needed this. That's why I posted it the other day. But I've been really busy. And so I wanted to go ahead and put a video out. But I originally had gotten it for a Capricorn, and then I realized it was for a general. I was like, no, everybody needs to hear this. This isn't a zodiac thing. This is an everybody thing. So... I mean, this can be anything. You know, he felt very betrayed because his mom didn't choose treatment per what I understand from what I researched, because she died, and then he had no one. He didn't have his dad that left, so he felt betrayed by that asshole, and then he felt betrayed by his mom, and then on top of it, couldn't be himself ever. But this can happen in other ways, where someone believes strongly, like, you know what, I should be in this marriage because God would want me to. Like, this is just an example. I'm not saying these people are wrong, but this is just to show how it affects other people in their lives, our own children, things like that. Maybe us, if we experienced it, maybe you did. And then maybe someone stays in a very toxic marriage forever, and they only choose their partner more over their children. Some people would say, well, that's what God would want, but it's like, is it? And then the child grows up and feels completely like, yeah, I was here, but I was alone. I was alone. I was alone. You can be lonely and have people around you. I was alone because, you know, their beliefs said, this is what love does. This is what God would want. We don't get divorced. We don't do this. We don't, you know, and we all have to get married. And, I mean, this might be a sensitive subject for people. Some people are not going to want to hear this, but it came from a song. I heard it, I looked into it, and I realized, you know, he really paved the way doing what he did. I'm sure not everybody liked that in the beginning, but, I mean, you see how many views the song got, right? Because people relate to it. But all those people were probably scared to say their own thing and maybe feeling like they were alone, but no. You know what I mean? People get mad at you and shun you and create all these narratives about you because they believe their belief is the only way, even if it's not religious. And, yeah. I can see why it makes someone bitter, someone cold, and then you feel like so much time has been wasted. You just get older and you're like, fuck this planet, fuck this place, fuck belief, fuck love, fuck it all. Fuck family, fuck connections. Are any of us authentic? We're all just believing shit. Now we're all believing Google. I mean, all of us, right? I lump myself into that. We're all believing. What is it we are? So I hope that this connected to some of you. Somebody needed this message. Someone needed to know, I guess you're not alone. You're not the only one that has a few people in your life who either you really just can't forgive, period, or you love them still, but there's this part of you deep down, whether you're able to voice this to them or not, that holds them responsible for like forcing their beliefs and views on you, and maybe still doing it for some of you, to the point where some really bad decisions have been made and then no accountability taken for it, but yet we have to take our accountability for things we do. That's awful, you know? Yeah. You don't feel heard. seen. So I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for being here with me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.